Welcome, everybody. This is Mark Werwath. I'm the director of the MEM program here at Northwestern. I want to welcome all admitted students for the fall of 26 into MEM. This is one of several sessions we're going to have for newly admitted students. This session in particular is to help you in your planning for the beginning of the program in the fall. Some things to consider. I'm going to include a timeline in here as well as some key contacts. So I think you'll find all of this very useful information. We also have a recent alum who's going to be sitting in and basically answering some of your questions towards the end. So hang on for that. And this session is being recorded. So I just thought I would let you know we might very well post this on YouTube so that others who couldn't make it today will be able to watch this and get the same information. The staff, as you probably know, Renaissance McIntyre is our associate director. She's on the call today. So she should be able to answer your questions in the chat. If you want to ask some questions in chat, she'll be able to attend to that. She does oversee this program and the MBAI program, which is a Kellogg program that focuses on artificial intelligence that is co-taught with the McCormick School of Engineering. She does admission processes, student services, curriculum planning, and changes and event planning. Basically, she is your go-to person, her and her staff is your go-to person once you get started in the fall and once you matriculate. Nicholas Ashton is our new program coordinator for admissions. So he leads the admission process and future admission processes. So he'll be working with basically all applicants going forward until the point of you being matriculated. So in essence, these guys work together in tandem. Karin and Daxon are actually Renaissance's staff. So they'll do a lot of the scheduling and registration and graduation support that are pretty much in the trenches on a day-to-day basis. They're also the people that sit in the staff area right by the classroom. So they are generally accessible during class hours, or at least somebody will be. And they'll help guide you to find answers to all sorts of questions. And if they can't, they'll find the person who can. This is my background. I think you already know that I've got about 30 years of experience in industry, a lot of it at Motorola, a lot of it building program offices, all of it in new product development. So I was very focused in NPD. I was a PMP at one point, project management professional. I teach project management, negotiations, tech strategy, and a few other courses in entrepreneurship. My job now, today, again, is to accept only the best students. So you've been admitted. So you're in that class of only the best students. Our admit rate is right up there with Kellogg and some of the best MBA programs in the world. My other job is to keep the curriculum current and relevant. So we've interwoven, for example, AI into many of our classes. We're always introducing the latest technologies and the latest thinking in terms of how industry is working and supply chains are working. So we hire only the best faculty as well. And I'm networking you to that faculty and to the community of seasoned professionals. So this is my job, is to help you become and to develop your leadership capabilities while you're in the program. We have a pretty good reputation, I believe, at Northwestern. So why Northwestern? Why now? We're ranked number 3 in industrial engineering across the country. NU MEM is one of the oldest programs in the US. We're not the oldest, but we are the oldest at Northwestern in terms of professional masters, at least at the School of Engineering. We believe in whole brain. So the whole brain is all about basically balancing the analytical with the qualitative, if you will, the emotional intelligence with the analytical intelligence, which I believe is what's going to be needed to succeed in the future. Our curriculum is both engineering, technology, and business, housed within industrial engineering. So our bias is towards data. Our bias is towards analytics. Our bias is towards optimization, right? And if you're asking about dual degree options, they do exist, but MEM is not one of them. I would say Triple M is probably the most dominant dual degree program between McCormick and Kellogg, for example. So we are multidisciplinary. We encourage you to take classes elsewhere, up to 2 classes per career. So Kellogg, Medill, Farley Center of Entrepreneurship, Siegel Design Center, these are all places where we would point you to specific opportunities as they come up throughout the year. You have the option. We are extremely flexible to finish the program in 9 or 15 months. And to add to that flexibility, you don't need to decide right now. You can literally decide at as you approach, say, February, March of your first year of study. So if in February you decide, hey, 9 months doesn't work for you, you can throttle back in your spring quarter and take your final course in the fall of 20, I guess that would be fall of 27, right? We do have a small class size, a small cohort size. We have areas of concentration, product management, project and process management, supply chain and operations, and managerial analytics. So we have 4 areas of concentration. If you don't know what you want, or if you're thinking about it, I'll certainly help you this summer discern which one might be best for you. But I think if you're going to go down one of these paths, it makes sense to make that decision early if you can. We do help you build entrepreneurship skills. I think that's going to be essential in the years ahead. And we do help introduce you to leaders in technology and business through every course. Almost every course has guest speakers. It has a faculty who's, a practitioner in industry. And we also have seminars and workshops. And of course, industry night, where we network with a whole bunch of senior leaders from across the alumni base for about half an evening, if you will, of lecture and dinner and discussion and networking. It's a great networking opportunity. We have about 17,000 members of the alumni network. We probably have 800 just at MEM alone. We do have competitions and industry night and networking, as I mentioned. We have probably about 15% part-time, 85% full-time students. We mix them up in the classes. Our classes are offered at night. So that means you're going to be interacting full-time and part-time students, domestic and international, on a regular basis. Our campus is beautiful. I'm sure you've seen pictures. I mean, we are right by Lake Michigan, so you'll have all those opportunities to jog and bicycle and enjoy the beaches. We have a lower cost of living compared to either coast. I think we're a lot cheaper than the West Coast and somewhat cheaper than, say, New York or Boston. And we also have quite a lot of industry here in Chicago. Manufacturing, logistics, food tech, med tech companies are all located here in Chicago. Is the MEM degree worth the cost, right? Well, the numbers generally do pencil out, right? If it's relative to your current and projected earnings, you can expect in your lifetime to make because of your MEM degree, an additional 750 to maybe $1.5 million over your lifetime. Okay, so that's lifetime earnings. I know I can point to that number and say, yeah, that's about what I experienced in my career. And I'm a MEM alum from late 1980s. So we are connected very well to industry. So we do have some partnerships and capstones and alumni and folks that are directors of engineering that teach in the program, VP of operations, et cetera. So, this degree travels well across a lot of different sectors and a lot of different industries, manufacturing, med tech, energy, and infrastructure, and it will support, long-term resilience in your career. So if one sector slows, you can move to the other. An example was telecom. Telecom used to be very big in Chicago. A lot of folks from telecom moved over to med tech, and they're working at places like Baxter and Abbott Labs and places like that. So basically, again, graduates typically earn 20 to 30% more than those with only a bachelor's degree. And this is according to research.com, and this is 2026 data. So that bump, aggregated over your career can easily add to about 100 and what are they, $700,000 or more in added income to you over your lifetime. So again, if you look at the long-term ROI, the cost of acquisition of the degree, the incomes, and the balances on your loans, I think you'll find that it's well worth the investment. It's important for you to pencil this out yourselves and to make sure that this makes sense for your circumstance. I know that's what I did, and I'm sure that many of you have already started to do that. We believe in the T-shaped or the pie-shaped engineer. And by that, I mean you come to us with a deep vertical expertise, right? It could be in Fourier transforms. It could be in artificial intelligence. It could be in data science or database manipulation or chemical engineering processes. I don't know what that vertical is. Our job is to build on that vertical, that horizontal thread that connects you to business, that makes you viable in the business world, right? Um, to have a seat at the table with the business people so that they look at you and say, this person knows what they're talking about, not just about their vertical, but also about the connection to the business horizontal, right? Um, you can add a second vertical, analytics, data science, artificial intelligence, energy, whatever that second vertical is, right? I think it'll make you probably more robust in the marketplace, give you more options for jobs in the future. So we have 24 courses, 7 of which are core. So those core classes will be assigned to you. You'll know sometime this summer what core classes you're taking and when you're taking them. Um, we have 5 courses that are electives, 2 of which can be taken outside of MEM. So if you want to take 2 Kellogg classes or MSIT courses or Nuvention, which is an entrepreneurship course, those are all open to you, right? Our class sizes are relatively small, probably around 25 or less. Electives are often smaller, right? Some class sizes are offered in a somewhat hybrid mode, so you can be remote for part of the session, and that's particularly true with our MEM 436 class, which is tech strategy, right? You already know about the part-time students. F1 students are roughly 80%. Of the 25 professors, 16 are adjunct, 9 are full-time clinicals or research faculty. 3 have joint appointments with Kellogg, and several others have been trained by Kellogg. So 5 of our faculty are alum of the program, which I think is quite unusual for any MEM program in the country. The majority of our faculty are degreed engineers or math majors, and a lot of them are director level or above. So they've got 20 or more years experience. In terms of outcomes from 2024, right, we had 52 graduates from MEM, 91% were employed gainfully, and these were the job titles that they had, right? Most, I would say, found jobs in the location and industry of their choice. In 2025, we had about 95% with 50 graduates in June. Those who were already working in the program got promoted at least once, some of them twice. The example titles of the graduates that got new jobs are shown below. Yes, we did get some product managers. Yes, we had some senior product managers and consultants and development managers, you name it. We have a great variety of roles that our students were able to obtain upon graduation. These are the types of companies that they worked for, both full-time and part-time, full-time and internships. A lot of these companies have a major presence here in Chicago. Abbott Labs, Baxter, all have their company headquarters here. Northwestern Medicine is huge. Cognizant, GE, Dell. A lot of these companies, Exelon is the local energy provider, so Commonwealth Edison is a subsidiary of Exelon. Fiat Chrysler has got operations here in the Chicago area. Deloitte has a massive office downtown. Here is a location services company that is based here in Chicago. And of course, Cognizant, McKinsey, GE. So in terms of academics, right, you can go either part-time or full-time, but we define part-time as 1 or 2 classes a quarter. We define full-time as 3 or 4 classes a quarter. International students must be full-time at all times, except your final quarter. So in your final quarter, you are allowed to take an exception. So an example might be of an F1 student takes 4 classes in the fall, 4 in the winter, 3 in the spring. So they've only completed 11 classes. They need the 12th class to graduate. They come back the following fall. You are, as an F1 student, allowed to be a part-time student only in your final quarter if that's what you need to graduate, right? Summer internships are encouraged if you want to be on a 15-month program. That's usually why people choose 15 versus 9. And, frankly, if internships are your goal, or if you've already had one secured, then it makes sense. If by March you don't have one secured, you can simply take your final quarter as spring. In this case, that would be spring 27 and exit after 9 months. So again, that flexibility works to your advantage in both directions. So again, this is the 9 month versus 15. I think I've already covered almost all of this. These are the 7 core classes. I think you guys are well aware of what these courses are. 407 is our operations research course, which is analytical in nature. So you need strong math skills and probability and statistics for that class. 402 is a very general kind of simulation course where you're running a business with a team of students in a simulated environment. So you're competing with other students and other teams. You're running a business, you're making decisions in terms of running that business. And we simulate 10 years over 10 weeks. And in those 10 weeks, you learn a lot about what decision making means and how it impacts the company in terms of performance. And you have a sense of the systems of business as you make those decisions, right? We do have 2 capstone courses. We're likely going to consolidate that into one in terms of MEM 436. And your core classes will be scheduled for you, and you'll be given a course track sometime before the fall of 26. Here are the other advanced, I guess, engineering methods courses and electives that you need to complete. So those remaining 5 courses need to be split with 2 advanced engineering methods and 3 electives. And oh, by the way, the list is far longer for both of these categories, so you can certainly check that out online. We have all of that available on our website. You decide when you take your AEM courses and your elective courses and in what sequence. There isn't a lot of hard and fast sequencing inside the MEM program. A lot of our courses can be taken more or less independently of the others. So here's a sample course track for a 9-month and a 15-month program. We don't have summer classes, first of all. So if you plan on spending the summer in Chicago or in the States, do not plan on taking courses from MEM. You might be able to take courses elsewhere and you might be able to transfer. I've rarely seen that happen. Most students take one of 2 options in the summer. They either take an internship or some kind of a job, or they discover the country, maybe jump on some trains and airplanes and go out and travel because frankly, Chicago is the hub. You're right in the middle of the country, so you'll be able to see both coasts relatively easily. A few might go home for the summer to come back in the fall. Most students pursue either part-time internships or full-time jobs during the summer. So what do I recommend in terms of analytics courses? In terms of being prepared to start in the fall, I would hope that you would understand something about SQL and R and Python and Tableau as pretty much recommended for all MEM students. You will take a course in probability and statistics that will be required, and then eventually, whether it's in the fall or some other quarter, you will take 407. That is our operations research course. Beyond that, if you want to do managerial analytics or maybe do something with healthcare, then I would say that SQL, R, and Python would be not just recommended, but pretty much required. So you'd have to make sure you've got some sort of understanding of all of these topics. You can do all of those online pretty easily with Google and other education providers. Some enhancements. These are other programs, for example, beyond MEM, that you can take courses from on an available basis, on an as available basis. So MLDS is machine learning and data science. It's a very rigorous program. So if you take courses there, be prepared for a lot of rigor. Biotechnology, engineering design and innovation, product design, robotics, project management, MSES, which is energy and sustainability, MS in IT and MS in AI are also courses and programs that you might be able to take classes from. Somebody asked earlier, I think it was Abdul, in terms of what are the dual degree programs. Triple M, which is a combination of an MBA and a design innovation program, and then MBAI, which is, I guess, technically a joint degree. That's with Kellogg and with the McCormick School. So that's artificial intelligence. We have concentrations, as I mentioned. That's the good news. The bad news is you can only earn one, and you'll have to pick one and pretty much stick to it if you really want to finish it up. We also have minors, as you'll find out soon enough. And frankly, these minors are also very time consuming. So if you want to do a minor, that pretty much precludes you from doing a concentration. So in our minds, right, you pick either a concentration or a minor, right, if you want to pursue something in addition to your MEM degree. And if you want to contain it within 12 courses, right? That's the assumption. But what's new here is cybersecurity and I think scientific computing and synthetic biology. there is talk and discussion of a new minor in artificial intelligence. So you'll be able to get a minor in AI potentially next year, if not the year after. So I'll keep you posted on how that goes, and that will be offered through the computer science department, right? All of these require an application, all of them that must be approved by both me, the MEM director, and the director running that minor, in which case some of them are not even um, in our department, but they're all within the School of Engineering. So we do have something called the Kellogg Abrams Climate Academy. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. This is a fellowship offered by Kellogg. It's entering its second year. It's a groundbreaking initiative to provide, I guess, students the ability to tackle real world climate challenges along with corporate partners in a three-quarter sequence. So fall, winter, spring, they consume 1 credit per quarter. So of your 5 electives, three of them, if you pursue this and get accepted, three of them would be consumed by ACA. So the number of electives would be reduced that you'd be able to pursue. That's the downside. The upside is there's no cost to you as a student. It does not extend your graduation date, so you can still graduate on time. You still get your MEM degree, but on top of the MEM degree, you get a certificate from Kellogg, right? And you get all of the Kellogg benefits of, networking with their professionals and their professors and their fellow students. So we have 6 students doing ACA now. I suggest you try to link up with some of them if you want to know more about it. There is an info session coming up on May 13th and on June 17th. So my guess is the submission due date for the application is probably in the month of June. So you need to move quickly if this is what you want to pursue. And oh, by the way, I don't see any real downside to this. And to me, it's all upside. A lot of folks come with a little bit of Kellogg envy. They kind of wish they had some Kellogg branding. There's 3 ways to do that, right? The first way is through Abrams Climate Academy. You'll have a certificate from Kellogg. That's probably the best way. The second best way would be to get a job at Kellogg, work for them as a TA, a grader, a VCM, virtual class monitor. And a lot of our students have done that. The other option is to take some classes with them or get involved with their seminars and their conferences. And frankly, MEM students have been very dominant in some of their conferences. They have an India business conference, they have a technology conference, they have a climate conference. So there's a lot of ways to get involved with Kellogg, even as an MEM student, even from the engineering school. So things to keep in mind, again, you can only earn one of these, one concentration or one minor or the Abrams Climate Academy. None of these are required. If you're not interested in any of this stuff, that's great. You can just simply take classes as you see fit in terms of your electives, and you can choose whatever electives make sense to you without worrying about a minor or a concentration or anything else. So that's up to you. This is all optional stuff. The timeline, from my perspective, is that you should be securing your seat as soon as possible with your deposit. If you haven't deposited, please do. Probability and stats class starts in the latter half of June. You'll be made aware of that very soon. It ends in August. It meets one night per week. It's completely online and it's free of charge. So there's no tuition. You will meet with me on a scheduled basis, probably for 30 to 60 minutes over the summer, probably in July or early August. We call that an advising session, so you can consider me not just your director, but your advisor. And if you have questions throughout your career, you can certainly come back to me and set up separate sessions. This is both kind of career advising, but more focused really on your curriculum. How can your curriculum support your career? So I'm going to be trying to link those things together. Registration for classes starts typically online. You'll be able to do that as a student. I believe it starts in early September, if not late August. Classes start the third week of September. Orientation is already scheduled, so you can put this on your calendar. 2 full days. MEM orientation is 17th and 18th of September. You should be on the ground around Labor Day. By Labor Day, we mean roughly September 5th. After that, you're going to risk missing out on some activities and orientations and greeting sessions and things like that I don't think you'd want to miss. Some pre-orientation activities, okay? The Canvas site. You'll be completing the stats course. The summer course is free and online. There's a resource center for pre-orientation assignments. This is forms, documents, surveys, that you need to complete to be compliant with our policies and procedures. This will also help onboard you with orientation. Each assignment has a due date, so please take it seriously. We don't want to chase you down, and you don't want us to chase you down. Simply go through them as a checklist of sorts. We're using Canvas the same way we would use Canvas in the classroom. And again, you'll have that advising session with me, usually in July or August. Again, September 17th and 18th is orientation. Over those 2 days, you'll hear from the assistant dean. You'll hear from myself, the staff. You'll have a leadership workshop. You'll meet members of the student advisory board, and you'll attend the student reception where you'll meet some of the alumni almost, again, from day one, right? Outside the classroom, right? We have ECD, Engineering Career Development. We have NCA, Northwestern Career Advancement. We have all sorts of resources for you to help you with your career, support services like resume reviews, advising sessions, career fairs, but mostly we are here to help you network. So network, network, network. This is how our students have gotten jobs in the past. This is probably the most successful approach in this day and age. This is a long list I'm not going to read to you. I'm going to let you scan it. If you're interested in logistics, for example, I would point you to the Transportation Center. If you're interested in global issues, I would point you to Buffett. If you're interested in sustainability, I would point you to Treenan's or ISIN. If you want to become an invention manager, I would point you to Invo. There's over 200 clubs, none of which are listed here on this page. I can send you a link to those pages as well. We have a robotics club. We have a rocketry club. We have a solar car club. We got all sorts of clubs. Many of them are engineering oriented. Associations like PDMA, PMI, and COSI. I'll be posting events that are local events for you to attend so you can stay plugged in and get to know professionals outside of the campus in whatever area you find important to you. SWE and WE, as well as practicums, et cetera, IEEE. There's a lot of ways to get involved. If you find yourself lacking for things to do, all I can say is you're probably not paying attention because I'm going to be sending you all sorts of opportunities, and you might complain actually that it's a little bit overwhelming, and it probably will be. We have workshops, we have site visits, we have tours. I'm not going to promise you more than one per quarter, simply because you guys are going to have so much to do, and we are so busy that frankly these tours and the other site visits and workshops become a little bit distracting. So we don't want to distract you from your studies. We want to enhance your studies. So we'll try to do ideally about one per quarter, and hopefully that'll work out. We do have student projects. They're not required. Mark Johnson is our EIR. You'll meet him at orientation. He'll talk about some projects he's got in the pipeline. Some of these are paid. Many of them are unpaid. They all are resume enhancing. They all get you connections to companies and opportunities and projects here on the ground in the US that are real and are hopefully interesting to you and potential employers. This was an EV project where we were trying to electrify the bus fleet here at Northwestern. So this was a team of students, as you can see, a relatively large team that looked at the feasibility of putting in EV charging and purchasing vehicles and setting up routes, et cetera, for electric bus transport for students and faculty across the campus and between the campuses. These are some of our engineering spaces. On our tour, you'll see in the lower right, this is our little workshop. It's not so little. There's actually 3 floors of workshops that include 3D printers and laser cutters, laser welders, metalworking, woodworking, almost everything you can imagine, lathes, mills, drills, the whole 9 yards. Not for faculty. This is for students. This space that you see here on the lower right is exclusively for students and their projects. If you're good at this stuff, you can even potentially get a job as a tutor or as a coach or as a trainer in this space. Obviously, safety is a big concern. You really can't work in this space until you've been trained and certified. So most of these pictures are actually from the Ford Design Center, and that's either the Ford Center or this is the Sealy Mudd Library. So there's a combination of both on this page. You'll have direct access to this and many other buildings on campus. But these are the main buildings, right? The Tech Institute, the Ford Design Building, the the library, Sealy Mud, and the north parking garage where your classes will be held are all pretty well clustered together within maybe 1,000 feet of each other.
Mark?
This is some of our networking events here. You can see students networking with faculty, with alumni and guest speakers. And in this case, the middle picture includes the dean of the School of Engineering who typically attends our sessions every February. So staying connected, right? Here are some MEM alum, and we'll give you the links. But frankly, they all have different backgrounds. Some of them are venture capitalists. Some of them work as recruiters, technology consultants. Some of them have run their own businesses, like Ian Weiss. Some of them are long-term employees, senior systems engineer at Baxter. Sneha was a student, I think about 10 or 11 years ago, maybe 12. And she's been here ever since. She's been at Baxter for the same amount of time, 12 years. So she can, I guess, testify as to what life in America is like after you come from a place like India and how she's adapted. Married, kids, house, suburbs, the whole nine yards. She's got the whole package. To stay connected, I recommend our LinkedIn page. We have two of them. One of them you can access publicly. The other one is a corporate page, and we also have our YouTube channel. So please subscribe to both. You'll keep up to date on what some events are and certainly some lectures from me on different topics on the YouTube channel. I think our YouTube channel probably has easily over 50 or 60 videos on it at this point. Well, Shobit Dubey is one of our alums, and I guess he's with us today. I'm going to turn it over to Shobit. He's a solutions engineer at Salesforce. He graduated about 2 years ago. He's been extremely successful, and we're very proud of Shobit. And I guess I will let him speak to his experience since he graduated and any advice he might have for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Professor. Hey, everyone. I'm Shobit. I'm dialing in because I ran into some challenges this
Shobit, are you
morning
there?
with the setup. Can you hear me, Professor?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right, perfect. So, hey guys, this is Shobit. I'm dialing in. That's probably why you guys can't see me. I graduated from Northwestern at 24, and since graduating, I know honestly before graduating, I had a role at Caterpillar, which I was a product manager with, and then I pivoted ships. I started working in sales, and I'm a solution engineer. So I started the pre-sales cycle of Salesforce. And so I'd love to expand more about my experiences and really what I learned during my time at MEM. If you guys have any questions, please come off here and ask me. I can't see the chat. I also can't see anyone raising hand because I'm dialing in. So just real quick, there are three things that MEM set me up for, right? And that's communications, that's systems thinking, and that's negotiating. And these are three principles that I'm following in my day-to-day. And I think these things in general don't change with time. Meaning AI can come and go. There can be new technology. Before AI, there was ML. Before ML, there was data analytics. But the one common theme that, has excelled over time and people who have outlived these curves has always been people who can negotiate well, people who can communicate well, and people who can do systems thinking. Professor actually did mention this, and he runs a wonderful course called Negotiation for Engineers. Most of us that come from India, and at least I can speak for myself, we were not taught negotiations. We're not taught how to create leverage. We're not taught how to approach middle ground, right? And every day in my role, because obviously I'm in sales, I'm negotiating. I'm negotiating my time. I'm negotiating my skills. I'm negotiating my access to resources, so on and so forth. This was the only class in many curriculums that I was initially looking for in MEM that had negotiations as a separate curriculum in itself. And I think that's extremely valuable. Professor is done at the highest level for so many years to learn from his approach, to learn from his mindset, to learn what a leader thinks and how negotiation ties in on a day-to-day basis. Absolutely invaluable. That was the biggest skill I learned staying, in my time at MEM. The second thing, throughout the course, you will hear concepts around systems thinking, right? And that's honestly the biggest I'd say, skill set to have in this economy, especially with everything that's revolving around us, is people who can translate technical jargon into business value and business value into technical jargon, right? Any role you take has some level of this. Maybe the percentage of how much more technical you are versus how much more you're translating to a business audience, that changes. But MEM does a great job at helping us see things from a high level, right? As engineers, or at least as me, right? Like what I experienced, I was very focused on what I did, but I never looked up and saw why it mattered. And that's what MEM allowed me to do. I got to see things from, I just looked up honestly. And I think throughout the 15 months that I was at MEM, that's really the constant theme that changed my perspective about my role at a company and made me more strategic, right? To be the right word there. And lastly, communications. I think Professor Verwath, Professor McNeely, Professor Murnane, many curriculums that we go through and many courses, all of them are digital transformations, have an aspect of presentation, have an aspect of thinking on your feet. And there is just so much emphasis on public speaking. There's so much emphasis on presenting your ideas and your thoughts and your point of view that over the course of 15 months, I think one, my fear of public speaking went away. I think that in itself is a huge win for me. But also, too, I knew how to interact with people. I knew how to show up in a better way. I understood how to command a presence when I'm in a room full of executives, and it's translating in my day to day as well, right? Um, and going through the process, I didn't realize like so many changes were happening, but they did, and I'm very glad I experienced that process. I'm very glad I went through it, and the curriculum is truly rock solid. It's very holistic. I know I didn't touch anything on engineering because believe me, my expectation was I might learn more about engineering, but I learned so much more, and engineering was one part of it. I'll take a pause. I felt like I went on a rant. Any questions, thoughts, guys?
So Shobit, you say you negotiate pretty much every day.
Okay.
So how did the classwork and the coursework help, I guess, help you do that
Yeah.
and become confident? I guess really it's about self-confidence and understanding your capabilities, right? Is that what the
hmm
class helped you do, or what? How did it help you?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that you gave us, Professor, was a framework, right? And you guys will experience this, and some of the lectures might be public as well, where professors, where Professor Weber talks about, and sorry, like where you, Professor, talk about a zone of mutual agreement, where everyone's like I can have one ask from my day to day, my sales team can have another ask, and my C-suite can have a different ask, my clients. The mutual zone is where everyone thrives. How can I give the best time? How can I give the best output for the time I'm able to give? How can the salespeople meet their quota with that time? And how can we drive the biggest value to our customers? That negotiation felt more like collaboration. That felt like an exercise that people can start doing together. And that just expands beyond deals in my day to day. It expands to relationships. Now, if I'm working with sales teams who are aggressively hitting their quota and I have only so much time in my day where I can dedicate my time and resources, I'm able to tell them what a path of success looks like for me and how much I can support them. So, and that all comes back to the framework that you taught us is you can have people's wants, you can have people's desires, and you can have the time that you can give. How do you find a mutual exclusive zone? And you also taught us a few metrics and a few analysis. I don't want to spoil it for everyone here about how to think about the framework and how to approach this like from a less theoretical, less subjective to a more objective lens. So these are some things that the curriculum truly helped me see and appreciate about my day to day as well.
Shobit, as you're speaking, I'm thinking of how the class has changed since you graduated. It's been a couple of years, but we are now negotiating with AI. So
Yeah.
I actually have the students not just team up with each other to negotiate person to person. We now have
hmm
negotiators with, person to machine, person to LLM. And we're discovering a lot of things, both about how the LLMs work and how it works in the context of negotiations and how it either enhances in some cases or detracts in other cases. So I think,
Amazing.
the world is changing quickly and we obviously have to change, we have to change with it, right?
I want to, Professor, this is one of the things I love about MEM. Guys, this is like not something I planned on sharing before. So just on that note, Professor, when you brought me in on your project management class, so like just for context, everyone, Professor also runs a project management class, and that's typically catered to folks who are interested in expanding their current skill sets in project management, but also maybe looking at how that skill transfers into corporate America and look, just getting deeper with your craft. So I was a part of the project management class because I truly think a lot of what I do today, right, negotiation, timeline, stakeholder management, is essential project management skills. And so I get in the class, I had a whole agenda planned up. I wanted to present a few slides. And I go 5 minutes, I think it was 10, 15 minutes early before my speaking session. And professor is teaching about CRM, AI, build versus buy. This one theme is the biggest SaaS apocalypse theme in the US market right now. And professor is already teaching about the pros and cons of AI, the pros and cons of building versus buy, the pros and cons of having a company like Salesforce do CRM automations for you versus a Claude Code or your GPTs or Cursor and all that stuff, right? And the reason I bring this up is what impressed me is the stuff that I'm hearing day to day in my real life, on my job. Professor is teaching that to everyone, covering that content in an hour and educating everyone on what's truly happening in the market. That's how relevant the course is on a daily basis. So honestly, I'm like so glad that this has moved past human to human negotiation to now let's have AIs negotiate each other. Because that's truly where you understand where the actual landscape is, where are the gaps, and what sort of skills you need to get creative about to see where can you fit yourself in.
And
Right.
Shobit, I mean, I was going to turn it around and say the reason we're relevant is we bring in folks like you who are practitioners on a day-to-day basis, right? And we bring you in at night to discuss kind of what's the latest, greatest thinking, what are the issues and risks that are out there, how can people better prepare for the future that lies ahead, and
Yeah.
especially now with AI moving so quickly, right? It literally is a changing landscape. I would say at least every week, if not almost every day.
So well said. And you're already changing your content on the daily basis. Like it's not even just static where the curriculum is the same as it is. Like even when I graduated, I don't even recognize the curriculum anymore. That's how quick you've adapted to the changes itself. And I think that there's beauty in that, right? There's beauty in staying informed and then knowing, all right, what's the place where we can insert ourselves as professionals. Um, no, I loved it. I loved that class. I loved how you're approaching the whole idea of educating everyone on the fly on a daily basis. It's truly impactful.
So for the folks out there that are listening in, I mean, this is a great opportunity for you to talk to somebody like Shobit. He's working at Salesforce. From what I know about Salesforce and the industry, it's probably one of the fastest companies in terms of adapting to and embracing our artificial intelligence in all of its agentic and LLM type flavors. So if you want to
Hmm.
know what's really going on out there, take advantage of this chance to ask Shobit a question because he's living it. I mean, he's living it. He's also surrounded by, what did you call it? The SaaS apocalypse, right?
Yes. I have to handle this every day, Professor.
And here's, it's funny because as an engineer, I like to deal with tangible reality, right? And you hear something like SaaS apocalypse and you think, this is just poppycock. This is just a story that's being told. And maybe it is a story. There are many stories that are being told. But then there's the reality on the ground. And we think of them as two distinctly different things. But the stories that we tell ourselves and the reality on the ground inform each other and become a kind of a quagmire of sorts where whether it's
Hmm.
true or not, whether AI is going to revolutionize the world or if it's just another tool in our pocket, it's the expectations are such that it is changing the world. Whether it really is effective or not, I guess time will tell, right? But it's changing the way we operate, correct?
Couldn't agree more. And that's where like the way excuse me, the way you're structuring the courses, the way you're bringing like that lens of like what's the reality of the ground, it's super educational because even in that few 30 minutes that I heard you speak, Professor, everything that you said exactly what I'm experiencing on a daily basis. But people get to learn that without having to put in 9 hours of work and just, listen to 30 minutes of lecture. It's amazing.
Well, and part of it is because I've been around so long that I've seen other generations of technology come and go. I was a roboticist
Mm-hmm.
and I was involved in what I would call the third or fourth generation of robotics. The first one going all the way back to the 1950s, through the 70s and 80s, right? And each one had its own kind of belief set and narrative that we were running around with. AI goes back to the 60s and 70s as well. I mean, I actually had a certificate in AI dated
Mm-hmm.
1985 from DePaul University. And we had expert systems back then. We had Lisp programming. We had forward and chaining, backward chaining models that had nothing to do with, generative AI as we know it today. So
Mm-hmm.
while technology changes and evolves, right? There are generations of technology, and you can see what works and what doesn't work from one generation to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this AI is perhaps the most disruptive technology in my lifetime, and maybe in many lifetimes,
Wow,
right? Any
that's
comments or
amazing.
questions for Shobit? I don't want to waste anyone else's time here if we don't have any questions. I do want to thank you, Shobit, for coming by and being with us.
So that's it's my pleasure, truly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I guess important dates to remind people of. These are specific dates now. So the stats class will start on June 22nd. Be there. Please don't miss. There aren't that many sessions, and Bruce Sankeman is a fantastic professor. In fact, he's a former director of MEM. Last day to declare deferral. What that means is if you've been admitted for the fall of 26, you have the option to defer to the fall of 27 only up until August 1st. Okay, so please mark that date. If you have any chance of deferring, let us know, or at least let us know by August 1st. We will have new student advising sessions the month of July and August. We will have new student orientation the 17th and 18th of September, and fall classes start promptly on the 21st of September. You can plan on having most of the month of December off. So if you want to take some trips or to do some activities, the month of December is usually our winter break, and it's probably one of our longest breaks except for summer. Any questions about these dates? Renaissance, am I missing anything here?
Nope, that is everything for those dates. But I did want to also mention that we are planning a new student welcome remote session where we will go kind of in depth through all of the pre-orientation activities that we will want you to complete. We'll show you our Canvas site so you'll be comfortable with what that looks like and all the various things that we want you to do. It's remote, it'll be all online. And we will send out information about that when we've kind of finalized the date for that. But I know it can be a little overwhelming trying to make a decision on if you're coming and then all of the things that we want you to do before you get here. So we will go through that with you.
I'm looking at the chat. I know there's been a lot of questions about dual degree. Triple M is the premium dual degree program between Kellogg and McCormick. It's been around for at least 20 years. It's a high quality, dual degree, meaning you're getting two master's degrees in parallel. The problem, of course, is it takes about 2 years to complete, maybe a little longer because there's a summer requirement. So if you're willing to spend the dollars that equate to that 2 year degree, it is a full-time degree. It is a competitive program. And the master's from McCormick, I believe, is in design and innovation. So it's not an MEM degree. MEM is, I guess, a unique degree that I guess I use the word unique in terms of unique within maybe the Northwestern sphere. It's well known outside of Northwestern. There's probably 100 other schools that teach it. And even though it's not a dual degree, it is, if you want to call it a management from the engineering perspective, right? It is, in that sense, a single degree that comes only from, in this case, only from McCormick. If you have any questions at all, please email us at mem@northwestern.edu. We are, like I said, about 10 miles from the heart of the city of Chicago. And what you're seeing here on the left is, I think it's what we used to call the Sears Tower, but it's the tallest building in Chicago. We have an amazing city here that surrounds us, and it's certainly something you would want to explore as a student once you get started. So if you don't have any other questions, I guess I'll open it up for questions now if there's anything that we didn't cover. Not seeing any. I know we had a session yesterday which probably answered many of your questions. We will have more sessions to come. I want to thank you all for being with us today. Hopefully, we covered everything you needed to see and hear. Um, I can put in the chat if you like a file that we've been using for links that I would call important links. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Um, let's see if I can, yeah, key links for MEM students. There's probably over a dozen links that you can use from this one Word document that will probably help you. OISS for international students is perhaps the most important link. And for all students who are trying to find a job or an internship, ECD is a very important link, Engineering Career Development. So this, if you look at the chat, you'll see a Word document that will help you understand all the various, I guess, important links to different parts of the university that we think will help you as a student, including housing. There's a link there about transportation, et cetera, et cetera. So there's all sorts of, and there's links on innovation, because innovation is really at the heart of what MEM is all about. So with that, it's about 9:56. Rishith, you got a question? You might want to unmute. There you
Yeah.
go.
Okay, Hanu.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the thing is, I actually didn't get a mail for today's question. So I was wondering if the admin can add me to the email list for the current students. Since I'm a deaf student, my mail might have been.
I think you're asking for an email list of the current day students. Is that correct?
So the thing is, I didn't get an email for today's session,
No, I
probably
think he's
because I
saying he
might be at
wasn't
the
on the
session.
listserv and
Oh,
he
I
wants to
see.
be added to the admitted student
Yeah,
listserv. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
that's it.
That's something the Renaissance can help with, right, Ren?
Yeah, I can we'll admissions and I will talk about it to make sure that you are included in all the email campaigns. So apologize for that.
No, yeah, I'll just drop a mail so that you can add that email.
No, I see your name, so we can just look you up that way.
Sure. Thank you.
So because this is recorded, this session will probably also be posted on YouTube. So anyone who you know who was admitted and missed the session, just tell them to go to YouTube. In fact, I would encourage you all to go to YouTube. There's so many different videos that I'm sure will help you in whatever questions you might have, either about the field of engineering management or about the program here at Northwestern. And with that, I want to thank you all and wish you a good weekend. And we will soon see you on campus and soon see you in the probability course this summer. Take care.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Ren. Thank you, Nick.